In this project, you have a client, historian professor Dr. Destiny Manifest, who is looking for you to create an app on the life of Lincoln. She will provide all of the resources you need in terms of the text, the images, and the captions for those images, and is asking you to put together a navigable app of a menu screen and 6 content pages. Each content page can contain 3 to 4 different sections. Here's a chart showing each of the pages and the sections for each page and the image that will be used for that particular section. These are all available in a assets zip file that's in our Canvas course site. And I give you some tips along the way as far as the code to use. So each page, each of the 6 content pages is pretty much identical. You're just going to change a few things on each page. So what I recommend doing is getting the menu page first, and I use the main page for that, and then add in your 6 pages and set up the navigation page for the main page, create the code for the 6 buttons on that main page to navigate to the other 6 pages, and test that, and then we add in the content for those pages along the way. Here's my project running, and so here's the main page. We have our 6 buttons that take us to the boyhood and back, Illinois and back, family and back, president, Civil War, and assassination. Now on each of the pages there are buttons in the top right that let us navigate through the different sections of that page. So in boyhood we have mother's death, we have education, and we have early life. The buttons down here at the bottom also allow us to navigate through the pages by adding these pages onto the stack. So this first button will take us back to the main page, Illinois. Illinois has 4 pages: New Salem, State House, Lawyer, and U.S. Congress. So I can click on the third button here. This first one, the second button here will take us back to the boyhood. The third button here is this page, so it doesn't do anything. And then the fourth button will take us to page 3. So we can navigate to family and see parents, siblings, wife, and children. President, we have campaign, secession threat, cabinet. Civil War, we have one nation, emancipation, democracy, Gettysburg Address. The label here is set up with a scroll view so we can scroll through the text if there's more than what we can see. And then finally we have assassination, we have Ford's Theater, Peterson House, and conspiracy. That's the project. I'm going to suggest that you go ahead and watch my code review, take some notes, come back and try this. It's a little more involved project. And then if you struggle, come back and re-watch the code review and just follow along with me. The very first thing I did in starting the project was I added in all the graphics. There's a bunch of them here. So I have Lincoln 00 through Lincoln 21. These are all JPEGs. These are the images that are being shown in the page as far as the main image. And then those small little menu images at the bottom are the menu 1 title through menu 7. Make sure you set the BuildAction to MAUI image for all of those. And then I added in the Lincoln text into the raw and set the BuildAction there for bundled resource. You want to go into your app.xaml.cs and set up the main page to use the new navigation page, and we're going to pass to it a new main page. So that's in place of the main page equals new app shell. That will set up our navigation page and allow us to navigate through the pages. It creates the stack all in memory for us. Then I created 6 new pages. And of course, to do that, I simply went to my project, right click, choose add new class. and we want to make sure we do .NET MAUI and a content page of XAML, and then give it the appropriate name. So I created 6 pages that are named Page 1 Boyhood, Page 2 Illinois, Page 3 Family, Page 4 President, Page 5 Civil War, and Page 6 Assassination. Let's take a look at the main page, which is our menu page. So here is the XAML code for the main page. Set the title to Lincoln. I give it a background color of antique white. Scroll view, vertical stack layout. Set spacing, padding, vertical options. And then for the image at the top of the Lincoln Memorial is that Lincoln 00 title underscore, and it's a 900 by 600 resolution image. And I like to put that on the first image at least so I know what the resolutions I'm working with. So I'm going to set the width request equal to 300 and the height request 200, so it's basically 1/3 of each of those measurements. And I set the aspect to aspect fit and horizontal options center. Then I have a title that's inside a vertical stack layout. And I added 2 lines to the title. I used a vertical stack layout because I want those 2 lines to be really close. We have some spacing set up here of 10 units between items in our vertical stack layout. So by doing this, I can have them right next to each other. There's no spacing between them. So the first one simply says Navigating the Life of. It's using a font size 21, Open Sans semi-bold, and then Abraham Lincoln's a little bit larger, 36 font, and Open Sans semi-bold. Centered both of those, set the attributes to bold. Then we have our 6 buttons. So name these BTN Boyhood, BTN Illinois, BTN Family, BTN President, BTN Civil War, and BTN Assassination. They each have the text for that page: Boyhood, Illinois, Family, President, Civil War, and Assassination. I use the font family Open Sans semi-bold to be consistent. Font size 18, bold attributes. Made the color white on a black background. And horizontal options centered. And then we have clicked of Go Page for all of these. So all 6 of these are going to use the exact same C# code as far as an event handler to navigate to the different pages. Let's take a look at that C# code. So I did set up a model. I'm going to scroll back up here. So I added a folder called Models. And in that folder, I added a new class, a new empty class called info.cs. And that's going to be our data model. It has 4 public properties of title, image file, body text, and caption. They're all strings. And then our constructor, we're going to pass it 4 strings. So I named it title, img, body, and cap, and set those 4 properties to those 4 passed strings. Very simple model. Back to our main page XAML. So we want to make sure we include that model on all of our pages. So using Lincoln.models, that gives us access to that model. I created a list of type info, made it public static so we can share it from the other pages, and named it info section. It's going to equal a new list of type info. We can't populate at this point until we've loaded our components. So then on the public main page, after we initialize components, we're going to open up a stream reader and get that Lincoln.txt file from the raw folder. And I set its BuildAction to bundle resource. On the PC, you might need to set it to MAUI asset or EmbeddedResource. I have a loop of, while we're not at sr.endofstream, we're going to read the next line of that file and place that in a string called paragraph. Now, in that text file, there are some page titles and there are some blank lines. And what I want to do is just get the paragraphs. I'm going to open up that Lincoln text file so you can see it. I just want the paragraphs that have these little section symbols in them, the little kind of 2 S's on top of one another. And there's 3 of them. So this is in the format of the page title, actually the section title, the image we're going to use, the text for that image, and then at the end there's another section and the caption that's placed underneath the image. So we want to ignore the blank lines and then also these page titles. So in the code then, what I've done is if the paragraph, each line that we read in, if it contains those section symbols, then I want to separate it. I'm going to split it on those section symbols, so using the dot split, into an array called fields, and then I'm going to populate title, IMG, body, and caption with those 4 fields, indices 0 through 3. I'm going to pass those into a new info constructor and add that to my list of info section. I did this in a try catch. I didn't do anything if something goes wrong. Probably could do a display alert there. I also set up a little test here where I wanted to know what the count was of the info section, because it should be 21. So I want to verify that everything's being read in correctly. And then you can ignore these other comments here as far as adding the new pages. That populates the data of our info section list, which we will use from the other 6 pages. Here's my Go Page button. It's an asynchronous method because we're going to use NavigationPageAsync, which is an await method or an asynchronous method. So I'm going to take the target equaling the sender as a button. We know that all 6 of these that hit this event handler should be a button. We're going to switch on the target.text.toLower. So I'm going to compare it to boyhood, Illinois, family, president, Civil War with a space, and assassination. And those all need to be lowercase since we're setting our caption to lowercase to test. And for each one of those, then we're going to await navigation.pushAsync and a new page 1 boyhood, or a new page 2 Illinois, new page 3 family, and so forth. I have a default here that basically does nothing with breaks after each of the cases. At this point, I would suggest you test your project, make sure the menu page is coming up, and you can navigate to all 6 of those pages and come back using the arrow at the top of our navigation bar. Next, we'll build in those pages. So on the page 1 boyhood, let's take a look at that XAML. I set the title to boyhood. Now I added a punch list here, and I do punch lists a lot when I'm building apps as far as what I still need to do. In this case, the punch list is, here's my page for page 1. Now if you copy and paste that, what do you need to change in each of the pages? I find that very helpful so I don't miss something. And I just use it as a little checklist. So we're going to use a grid. And we're going to have 4 rows. The top and bottom would be 50 units high. Auto for the middle one. It's going to contain most of our content. That's going to be the image, the caption, and the text. The first one, the row 0, will contain our label of the page title, as well as our little image buttons that will allow us to navigate through those sections. Actually, on the last one, the 50, we're going to have those 7 buttons that allow us to navigate through the stack. So we have a label, text boyhood, again, font family, open sans semi-bold. I set the font size to 24, bold, set the horizontal options to start, and I'm centering it vertically, and then I have a horizontal stack layout that contains 3 to 4 image buttons. I put the 4th one in here, so on the pages that only have 3, you just need to comment that out. For each one of those, we give them a name of IB section, whatever the section is, so 1, 2, and 3, the source of the image, and then we have an event here called click load section. That's going to basically go out and get the data from that info section list that we created on the front page, on the main page. My vertical stack layout then, that contains all the information, is going to show the source of the image, the caption, the title that's just above the body text, and then inside a scroll view, we want to label with the body text. Now I put the Gettysburg Address in here just for a test. This is all going to change programmatically. So it doesn't really matter what you set the text to, it's all going to change. And then at the bottom we have our horizontal stack layout that has our 7 different image buttons, and they each have a event of clicked equals navigate app. So we have 2 things to code. We have navigate app, and we have the load section. Let's go take a look at the code for that. So again, here's my C#. We're going to bring in that Lincoln models. Again, I did a punch list for what we need to change here. We're going to have an integer called info index. I set it to 0 initially, and info section. So remember, info is that data class we created. So we're going to have a current one of ours called section. We're going to call load info. So here's what load info does. Section equals MainPage.info section info index. MainPage.info section, that's our list on the main page, and we're passing it info index, whatever this number is. It's going to start out at 0 on this page. Then from there, we can take that section and pull in the image file, the caption, the title, and the body text, and just set those 4 items from the XAML, so saying the source for current image, the text for current caption, the text for current title, and the text for current body. For the load section, which is those little icons at the top, I set info index equal to sender. This is a ternary experience. So basically, if sender equals this dot find by name image button LBL section 1. We have section 2, IB section 1, IB section 2, and IB section 3, and we're going to set that index number to 0, 1, or 2 on this page. If it's not those, it remains its info index. And if there's a 4th one, we can uncomment that. And basically going to change these numbers. And then here's our navigate page. This is going to current all the pages. So we have basic, again, it's sender equals this find by name image button nav 0. We're going to pop to root async from the navigation class. That's an await method. That's going to take us back to that first menu page, that main page, and clear the stack. Otherwise, we're going to add pages onto the stack. Now, I don't need to come back to this page. I'm already on that page, so I comment out the current page in this, but you can copy and paste this to all 6 pages and just comment out the one you don't need, and everything else should work. So each of these other buttons push async to a new page corresponding to the page that's been clicked. Let's take a look at one more page. I'm going to go to Illinois. So here's my XAML. It's basically the same thing. What I've changed here is the title of the text Illinois, and then the source references for the 4 images that are being displayed in these 4 image buttons. So Lincoln 04 New Salem, 05 State House, 06 Lawyer, 07 Springfield. In this case, there are 4 sections to this page. Don't really need to worry about any of the stuff down here because it's all going to change on the fly programmatically. So you just leave it as is. Even though it's referring to stuff on that first page, it's fine as is. And same with our stack layout of those 7 buttons. Those are fine as is. But then in our code for Illinois, again, we're going to use Lincoln.models. I'm going to set the info index to 3. That's the first section of this page. We're going to load the info just as we did before, so nothing changed there. But then on the load section, we need to change these numbers here to 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then our navigate app method, I'm going to comment out the page I'm currently on, which is the page 2 Illinois one. I'm going to make those same changes to the other 4 pages. So I'll go there very quickly. And if you need to see these, you can pause and look at the code. Again, not much has changed here. This is the family one, so text family, and then set the 4 image button sources to Lincoln 08 Parents, 09 Sarah, 010 Mary Todd, and 11 Tad. Everything else stays the same. And then on the code, page 3, we're going to set the info index to 7, set these numbers to 7, 8, 9, and 10. And there are 4 sections in this one. I do have something on my punch list that says if you're not using the 4th one, make sure you comment that out if you paste this into the next page. And comment out then the page 3 family. Here's our page 4. Setting the text of the label to President, setting the sources to Lincoln 12 debates, Lincoln 13 inauguration, Lincoln 14 cabinet, and commenting out that fourth one. Everything else can stay as is. The code, changing the info index to 11. And our numbers here for the info index are 11, 12, 13, commenting out the fourth line. And make sure you comment out the new page 4 president line. Here's Civil War. So our XAML, Texas Civil War with a space. My images, Lincoln 15 Richmond, Lincoln 16 Antietam, Lincoln 17 Peacemakers, and Lincoln 18 Gettysburg. Everything else looks good. Here we're setting the info index to 14 for the C#. And then my indexes for those 4 menu buttons for the sections are 14, 15, 16, and 17. And commenting out the page 5 Civil War. And then finally we have the assassination. Here's our XAML, Texas assassination. The 3 images are Lincoln 19 Fords, Lincoln 20 Peterson, Lincoln 21 Conspiracy, commenting out that fourth one. No changes to the vertical stack or the horizontal stack. And then the C# code. My starting info index is 18. And then the index numbers are 18, 19, and 20. Now we have 21 sections, but remember we start counting with 0. And then comment out the last push async for page 6 assassination, so we're not adding another copy of the same page onto the stack on top of the one that's there. That's our code. This seems like a really big project. When you start thinking about copying and pasting and just changing a few things on each page, it's not that big a deal. Now obviously we could have set this up as a single page and changed everything on a single page programmatically, but I think this works well. I have 6 different pages with content on each one, and it gives you some experience working with the navigation page and manipulating that stack with push async and pop to root async. I hope you have fun with this. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the .NET MAUI Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.